Enlivening Musings and the Pleasure Fairy, here to inspire more daily pleasure and aliveness into your life. Amp up your zhuzhiness. Invite your weird out to be loved on for radical self-love, enhancing your life and relationships. Go to crystalfranco.com for free and paid experiences. What are you wanting to do, be, let go of, create, that you feel you need permission to allow it to be so? Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal, and today I want to dive in to permission, feeling it, receiving it, offering it to the world. So this is a topic that, first of all, you're going to get a couple fun little insights and funny stories and stuff about me. So hopefully you like that. And it's a topic that I feel that Katie and I have touched upon in different episodes before. So if this is review for you, cool. Maybe you'll get something new from it today. And I just want to invite you to be open to receiving the transmission of feeling allowed to be fully yourself. And of course, yourself fully alive, which is completely who you be. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to lead with the fact that throughout my whole life, one of the things that people have always said to me, especially those who are my friends, however, even people who were just like classmates, people who never actually got into that friend circle with me, but experienced me, one of the biggest things that they've always said is how I'm so real and they can just be themselves around me and be real too. And they feel like they're seen and heard, and like that they haven't ever felt that from anyone before, or they haven't felt so seen or so allowed to be fully themselves. And by far, this is one of my most favorite compliments. And of course, like, if I want to take it to my head, it's like, ooh, I'm the best. But that's not how I mean it. I mean it in the concept of allowance. And I love it because I feel my life was set up for me to be so myself so that I could gift others that same thing. And in this idea of permission and giving other people permission, that's where I want to invite you into that too. So again, this is something where don't go comparing yourself to me or other people. It's where are you at today? And do you want to bring more of that into your own life, giving yourself permission and giving others permission or not? And it's cool either way, right? Where do we go from here? The biggest thing, it actually goes into how much do you even know yourself? And as we go on this journey, you start to discover these different aspects of you. And sometimes we experience fear in expressing these different parts of ourselves, especially if we feel like the people closest to us. I think about those rings. I'm not thinking of all of them right now, but there's the different rings of our circles and how, what's really close to us matters the most. And then you've got your next outside ring. And not only is it what matters to us most, but it's also what affects us the most. And so, our closest ring is the people, it includes the people who are the closest to us. And so a lot of times if we feel we're going to be rejected by those people, it's even harder to fully express ourselves and be daring into that and like do the things that we want to do to be who we are, to live fully alive, to even explore these things that we might be curious about. So maybe that's even the first step for where you're at today. Maybe it's about what is something that I really am wanting? What are you wanting to do or to be or to let go of or to create that you feel that you need permission to allow it to be so? Spend time with like, what is something that I feel I'm being held back in some way, shape, or form because I'm fearful that it's going to be rejected by the masses, or just even by my personal circle, and especially if it's by your personal circle. And then once you're kind of in that place, you can play with that edge and explore some of it. So let's just say you want to do something like get chickens or something, and you don't know how your partner is going to react, or you don't know how your neighbors are going to react, or who knows what it is, right? You can start just with a conversation. It's not like you go out and buy chickens right away. And sometimes there are things like that where you can start with a conversation of like, if I were to even change this aspect of myself, like maybe it's like, I feel I tend to be more in the negative too often, and I want to start being more positive. But I even think that me being more positive is going to freak my partner out. There's different changes like that sometimes feel like I don't even know if they would be able to accept this because they're so used to me being the way that I'm being. So you can have a conversation around that, or you can jump in and start just implementing it, sprinkling it in there a little bit, and just kind of seeing what that's like. I think about the next scale though. This is where my mind mostly has been today as I have like thought about this and how I really want to talk about it. And so, if you're not at this level yet, that's okay, and start where you're at. But I'm thinking of the next level. I'm thinking of being out in community and being able to just fully be yourself and being okay with whatever reactions and responses that might evoke in the people out there. So, one thing that I've shared many times, but I love to share about it because I think it's really important, is how much being at performances moves me. I've got my kids' dance recital coming up, and a lot of the time, I will just be in tears at these. I'll be in tears at other people's performances. It doesn't even have to be my kids performing. It is just the performance. I just see the art. I feel the art. I feel the music. I see the hard work and just this whole thing. And it just moves me so much that like I am moved to tears. And it feels so incredible. And I look around and nobody else seems like they're even feeling. And well, I don't want to say nobody, but the great majority. And so I want to invite people to actually feel like this is the art. This is like movement. This is incredible stuff. And it's what we are as humans. And that's what we're here to play with. So allow it to move you. And it just doesn't matter if somebody sees me or hears me crying or whatever it is, then that's okay. And it's that invitation, and it's giving them permission to do the same thing, to feel as deeply. And that's what I get really into in all of this, because I have this mission to invite people to be into their aliveness, to be tuning into their sensuality and their bodies and their sensations, right? So I do that out in the world, and sometimes that is hard for people. And so being able to still be that person, stay connected and anchored within myself, and allow the world to see so that they can have the permission to do that too is really profound. So I had this funny thing happen today, actually. I was at a location where one of my kids is doing some activities. And so I'm sitting with some other parents, just chilling. I like to color. And a friend sent me this hilarious meme, and I literally laughed out loud. And then I like could not stop laughing. And so at one point I was actually holding it in and I was like, and with my little, this woman turned and looked at me and then turned around really quickly. And I'm like, okay, she either thought I was crying or knew I was laughing, but she had to check it out, right? And it was, and then that just made it all funnier, you know? And so I'm like, why am I holding this in? Like, my whole mission, right, is more joy, more playfulness, more aliveness. So, why would I be holding this so far in? I mean, this isn't appropriate enough place. I'm not laughing hysterically, but I decided I don't need to stifle this. So I did. I continued to laugh. And then I'm back to coloring and it's replaying in my mind. And so I'm laughing again. And so it was just a funny thing. And it just kept going for me throughout the rest of that chunk of time. And that's what it is. Like in that exact moment, I even felt myself decide. Me allowing myself to feel and express this is giving all of these people here permission to do that. And this is something that I've seen a lot with kids, right? Like how often kids are not welcome in so many different areas of society. And it's because of this, because they are more unfiltered. They are just being themselves, and people have seen that as disruptive, whether it's a restaurant or an airplane or whatever. And that's one of the things as a parent and in my parenting that has been really important for me is I've allowed my kids to really be themselves. And I've faced some things with that. I once had people at a restaurant tell me I wasn't parenting properly because I was letting my 1.5-year-old walk around. And like they weren't doing anything, but they were walking around, and I was right behind them, following them all around, just letting them walk around. And somebody wanted to put their shame on me and shame me as a parent for allowing my child to move their body when they did not want to be sitting in the chair while we were waiting for our food to get to our table. And this is where there needs to be more of this permission and more of this allowance. And of course, it wasn't like a fancy restaurant or anything either. It was a family restaurant. So again, there's situations where, yeah, perhaps kids are not as welcome, but this is not one of those situations. Anyway, so this is what this is all about, is permission. And how can you give that to yourself when it's things that you are feeling you need that permission for? And then how are you going to keep being you and anchored within yourself so you can be giving that permission to the rest of the world? And of course, if you're at a place where you can't even just jump right into that, you might want to go exploring, like, what is holding you back? What is holding you back from expressing in that way, from being that way, from doing that thing? Because sometimes we do have to go into, do I have belief systems here that were put on me by society, my close friends, my parents, whatever it was, and then clear that stuff out. So that's like a whole nother thing. And if you are like needing support with that, of course, I'm here. Otherwise, just journaling can be really great for that, kind of breaking that down. Like, what is it that I desire? What beliefs do I have around this? Or what kind of definitions do I have around this? Where did that come from? And do I even think that thing is true? Like, do I think that's true? That random thing my mom said to me when I was 6. Do I still believe that? And kind of work with it in that way. All right. So, I hope big picture this really helps you tune into some of those areas where maybe you feel you've been holding yourself back because you've needed that permission, And in that, I am gifting you that permission. I'm giving you permission. Go do it. Go be it. Express it. And of course, you can play with all of that on your own, whether it's you just needing to give yourself that permission or you are wanting to be able to have support in any of that. This is one of those things where if you're wanting to experience just that feeling seen and heard in a very brief but concise type of way, one of the Gigi Tea Time calls is a great place to connect with me and experience just a little taste of that. And then you could even just be like, here's something that I am feeling like I need permission to do or be. Like, this is an edge for me and it feels kind of crazy. And I would love to have outside perspective on it, blah, 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 that type of a thing. Other than that, I hope you're having a beautiful day and you're out there shining as your beautiful, amazing self. And in that, giving the rest of the world the permission to be themselves too. Mwah. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with a friend to spread the love. Connect with Crystal on Instagram at @thecrystalfranco or on her site crystalfranco.com. Enjoy.